For more, let's bring in DW correspondents Alexandra von Namen in Washington and Bernd Riegert has the view from Brussels. And Alexandra, I would like to begin with you. You're standing outside of the White House there. We just heard the U.S. president speaking. Is what he said, this deal that he has announced, enough to avert a trade war?
We will see, but it's a good start, and we have to say that it is really a stunning development today. We didn't expect that. We rather had, all of us, even the European delegation here, a low expectation to this summit, to this meeting today in the White House, and now this is the agreement. Both sides could agree on different issues, and it is really a good development, and Donald Trump definitely can sell it as a win to his voters, to his supporters.
And I'd like to talk a little bit more about these two individuals, just generally speaking, their styles, because, you know, they both pride themselves on being deal makers with a personal touch. And it seems, at least from the rhetoric that Donald Trump was using, that these might be the first steps, for example, toward maybe a free trade deal. Are they the two that could potentially push that through?
Yeah, it seems so. What we witnesses today was a quite friendly atmosphere in the Oval Office at the beginning of their meeting. At one point, President Trump even put his hand on Juncker's leg, clearly demonstrating that they know each other, that they get along well. So there were signals that they respect each other. President Trump even called Juncker a very smart and a very tough man.
He's also, in the past, though, we have to mention, called him a killer, and the jury is still out as to whether or not that was a compliment. Bernd, I'd like to turn to you now because you have the perspective from Brussels, and we know that the European Commission was trying to downplay any chance of a breakthrough ahead of this meeting, perhaps trying to manage some expectations. How much of a surprise is, you know, what we are hearing today going to be there?
Well, now behind me in the EU Commission, champagne corks are popping, I would say, because it seems that President Juncker worked a little miracle there because he sold President Trump agreements that were already on the table before Trump entered the White House. Actually, this is TTIP light. He just managed to sell the president free tariffs, no barriers. That all was included in TTIP, and it seems that they're now taking up the negotiations about TTIP again. But only if these statements that Trump just gave will hold, because you never know what he will tell tomorrow. Will he untweet this overnight? We don't know. But if it holds, it's really a breakthrough from a Brussels perspective, because now a trade war can be avoided because Trump didn't mention the auto tariffs.
Absolutely, and I want to talk a little bit more about that, because how important is any deal to the European car industry, especially the German car industry?
Well, this is very important, of course. German automakers are very much involved in the American market, and the trade relations are going back and forth over the Atlantic. And also Germany was pushing in the European Union to avoid a trade war. And this is what Juncker has achieved as of now. And Juncker said also in Washington that no further tariffs will be imposed as long as this new round of trade negotiations will hold. And Trump said these negotiations will start immediately, so we can say there will be no tariffs for the auto industry as far as we can see.
Alexandra, I'd like to just ask you briefly before we have to go here. Tell us the domestic context here, because I mean, Trump has been, you know, under a bit of pressure from his party. We've also seen companies, farmers, for example, really feeling the heat of these tariffs. How is this agreement, or the announcement of this agreement, likely to go down with his base and his critics?
Good, I would say. The president was really facing a lot of criticism from within the Republican Party and from his supporters, particularly in the Midwest, from the farmers who, as you said, are really already suffering under the measures imposed by U.S. trade partners in response to U.S. tariffs. So I think that the president can sell this agreement today as a huge win for the USA.
Alexandra von Namen with The View from Washington and Bernd Riegert with the latest from Brussels. We thank you so much to both of you.